Hmm. Hello. I'm so sorry I'm late. I encountered some more issues as I tried to get on here for this. If you are out there, please let me know. I see Kelly. Yay, Kelly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Um, and anyway, I was before the class today, I was working on another card. Um, because I always try to plan our cards for our class in advance. And then I had some time today. I said, well, let me see if I can make another card. And I really hate that this is not the card today because I really, really like it. I wanted to show it to you all real quick. If you all like it, let me know. And we'll see about making this one alive in the future. But I really like it. The paper, I love that color. Anyway, so we do have two cards today. And I wanted to tell you all, first of all, I'm really sorry that I'm experiencing so many technical issues and I haven't been able to figure them all out yet. I am working on it. Oddly enough, my husband in a past life was an IT professional, but he's working on his doctorate now in library sciences. So I don't have, nope, not library sciences, higher education administration. And so he doesn't really have the time to help me try to figure this out myself, so I'm kind of stuck trying to figure it out myself. And we'll see how we go, how it goes. Okay, so I've got two cards for you today, and I'm going to start with my favorite because we're working today with all of these here, okay? And one of them is the scalloped blooms, and it's with the paper that I have sitting over here that is called Boutique, Bloom Boutique. It's with these papers here. Okay, and these are all of our in colors, our new in colors that just came out, which are Peaceful Pine, Crisp Cantaloupe, Golden Glow, Barely Blush, and Hydrangea Hue. Hydrangea Hue is probably my favorite, but because I use Hydrangea Hue a lot, I'm starting to lean towards Crisp Cantaloupe. I kind of like it as well. They're all really nice colors. You can see all of the colors right here in this. The gold ones there are, these are there for something else, but you can see this is the Golden Glow, Crisp Cantaloupe, Barely Blush, Hydrangea Hue, and the Peaceful Pine. So those are the colors we're working with today. Not both of the cards, neither of them have all of the colors. One of them is very monochromatic, and it will be using the Hydrangea Hue, and the other one is using Barely Blush, the Pine, Peaceful Pine, and there's a little bit of Crisp Cantaloupe in it too. So anyway, I'll go ahead and see if we can get started, and we'll work on it. You see, I always put in these little envelopes right here, I put all of our stuff for the card so that we've got everything that we need. All right, so I'm going to rearrange my phone. I'm going to aim it down towards my mat here, and we'll get started and see if we can't do this. Loosening this up. There we go. All right. There is our workspace. Try to keep it to where we can see everything. Okay. All right. I get this centered in our screen. That'll help me keep everything where you need it to be able to see it. All right. So here's the Hydrangea Hue, and this is the cardstock. And this is all the stuff that we're going to use on this card. All right. So the cardstock itself is 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. And we can do this card either way. We can do it so that it opens like this, or we can do it so that it opens like this. As of right now, I haven't decided. This is for the inside of the card, along with these 2 strips here that we're going to put on the inside. Okay. And then all of this is for the outside. All right. So it doesn't matter how we're going to open the card. We can start putting it all together. Okay. So this piece here, and I've got the measurements written down somewhere, but I don't have them in front of me. So it's like 5 1/4 by 2. Okay. For this piece right here. And this is one of the pages in that pack I just showed you, and all of them are two-sided, but we're going to be using this side today. Okay, now this piece right here is 4 by 3 1/4. Okay, and we're just going to put it right on top of this like this. Okay. Get my glue over here where I can reach it easily. And I like working with liquid glue. That's just my preference. Whatever liquid glue you're using, and I know I talk to y'all about this all the time, but whatever liquid glue you're using, make sure that it is one that doesn't bubble the paper. There are several, and I just glued it the wrong way, but that's okay. I put glue in the wrong places because I don't need it where I put it. And then we're just going to line it up. We're going to make it even on here so that it is straight. I'll leave it sitting upside down for a second while that glue dries a little bit before I turn it back over. Okay, so these here I cut with the scalloped blooms. Yeah, so that's this is the stamp set and this is the dot set, and I used them to cut this out. I used the let me pull them out and I can show them to you. Okay, so they come like this, and I just used this one right here and then this next size up. Got all these others here too. It's kind of cute. I was going to do our sentiment in one way, but I didn't do it. So maybe we'll do that while we're on here. Okay, so I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to put some glue around it. So put it up here so you can see it. And then I'm going to slide it right here on this, just like that. While that is still drying, I'll move it over here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to put our sentiment on our stamp. This card moves really quickly. It's an easy one to put together. It's a good beginner card. This is the one I was going to use for that. So from our Lily of the Valley bundle, I'm going to use this Happy Birthday right down here. When I get my orders in, I like to bundle them together so that I've got my stamps and my die sets together when I need them. Now I have a hydrangea hue ink, but I don't want to use the hydrangea hue on this. What I'm going to use instead is this basic gray. I use it a lot of times instead of black for sentiments and stuff, because it's not quite as dark as black, but it's bold enough that people can see it. Okay, so I've inked up my stamp, and when you're stamping, you just want to center it where you want it, and then press and hold. Okay, so press and hold, and then pick it up, and you get a nice crisp stamp that way. I'm going to clean the stamp up a little bit. I just misted it with some water and then use like a scrubby pad on it to try to make sure that I get all of the ink off. Okay. It's best if you don't store your stamps with ink on them. Now, that's not going to say that you won't, your stamps won't get stained, because there are some inks that are going to stain it regardless of what you do. If it has any red in it at all, you're going to get a little bit of a stain. And oddly enough, brown has a lot of red in it, so it will definitely stain. All right, so now let's pop back over to these that we were waiting on drying. And it's dry enough now that we can go ahead and we can turn this over. Okay, this little mat here also protects your tops, your desktop. from glue and stuff. All right, so we can do it one of two ways. We can do it like this and put this across here like this and then adhere it to the card, or we can do it like this and put it this way, and then our card opens like a book, like this. And that's what I'm leaning towards. I think I like that best. One thing that I do want to do is that this kind of blends in with this background here. So in addition to popping it, actually I'm going to pop both of these up and I'll show you how I do that. In addition to doing that, I want to go ahead and ink around the edges of it to give it a little more definition, not necessarily dimension, but definition. To do that, and this is the hydrangea hue ink that I'm using here. So to do that, I'm just taking it and pressing the edge, and you can see where it gets a little bit of ink on there. Just pressing the edge right into the ink. Just for a few seconds. You don't want to oversaturate it. And I just go around doing that to each edge. Okay. Okay. All right, just like that. Okay. This is one of the new ink pads. So if you've ever used Stampin' Up! Inks, you know some of them are hard to get open. You can open them, but they're difficult until you learn how. These are magnetic, so they just automatically open just like that. And if you have two of them, they stack and line up. So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Okay, so now I want to pop this up and give it some dimension. So I'm going to grab my dimensionals, which are just little foam tapes. And the reason they're colored like that is so that when I'm putting it all together, I can tell whether or not I have already removed the tape from that. Okay, so I'm going to come right here and I'm going to put a dab of ink on this first part. Not ink, glue. I really do know what things are called, y'all. And then I'm just going to adhere it where I want it. Okay. So that's the way that's going to look when it's on there. And now I'm going to come to this side. And on this side is where I'm going to put my dimensionals. And I'm going to put some on this and on this. These are itty bitty dimensionals. We'll just keep on going around. So my daughter-in-law sent me a picture of my grandson this week that I have not. Oh, I see. Welcome, Sabina. I'm glad to have you here. But I did not really. So my grandson, anyway, I was going to talk about him for a minute. She sent me a picture of him. They live way far away from me. They're halfway across the country from me. So I miss them like crazy. He is not even 2 yet. He's a year and a half today. Okay. But she sent me this picture of him, and I swear he does look like he's grown. So you can see here when I'm taking these dimensionals off, you can tell, I can tell exactly which ones I haven't taken the paper off of yet. And that's why I color them like that. And I just grab any old marker that I have on hand and do it. All right. So now I'm just going to line this up and put it, I'm just going to put it right on here. And I'm not going to leave all of it on this paper because we're going to adhere that paper in just a second to something else. It's a little uneven. That's why I stopped myself there. I want to line it up some more. Okay. There we go. All right. You can see I'm leaving it hang off just a little bit wherever it needs to, or wherever I feel like leaving it hang off. And now we're going to slide it on here. So I'm just using the liquid glue. Anyway, and he's adorable, and he did look pure grown, sitting in his car seat with his legs kicked back, with his sunglasses and his visor on. Too cute, too cute. There we go. Now, what we could do with this is we could add some ribbon. And I have ribbon in hydrangea hue, but I really thought that this one doesn't need any more hydrangea hue, and it also doesn't really need any more white. So the only other thing we're going to do to the exterior of this is we're going to put some of the butterflies on it that we saw earlier. And I'm going to use the white and the blue is what I'm going to use for this. I'm going to put the white ones on the white and the blue ones on the blue. And I'll use somewhere between 3 and 5. And I never know how many that's going to be until I get ready to put them on there and I do it. And I will say that odd numbers are usually more pleasing to the eye. So that's why a lot of times you'll see the odd numbers. So we're going to put one right here. We've got a little butterfly there. I'm going to come grab the little butterfly and put it down here. Well, no. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to put it up here, way up here at the top. Turn it around to where it's not flying upside down. And then press it in. And then I'm going to take this blue one and I'm going to put this blue one, or this hydrangea hue one, whichever you want to call it, right down here on our sentiment, just like that. Okay. Now we're going to turn over and we're going to work the inside. Okay. So Kelly is my sister, and she's in the chat with you all. And she goes, tell them about your favorite great niece. Well, I don't have a favorite great niece because I have two. However, the one that she's talking about is absolutely adorable. And her name is, and this piece of paper here is 3 1/4 by 5. And I've just cut it with a stitched die, and we're going to put it in on the inside. But it's her granddaughter, and she is absolutely precious. She reminds me so much of Kelly when she was that age. She will be 4 here shortly. And she also lives at great lengths from her grandmother. So it is hard on us distance grandmothers. Thought distance learning was hard. Distance grandmothering is even harder. We put it right there. And then I'm going to put this and this just to, kind of bring something inside to it. You can stamp a sentiment inside too if you want to. I typically don't. I like to leave that open for people to add their own sentiments to it, how, whatever they want to say. But on occasion, especially if the front of the card is like too busy, then in those instances, I will go ahead and I will put it in, put the sentiment inside. Okay, so there's our first card. And like I said, this one is a really easy one to put together. Not a lot involved with that at all. Okay, so I'm going to move that to the side and we'll start on our second one. So anything else about my niece? She's cute as a button, cute, cute, cute. And she's got so much personality. It's just amazing. It's amazing to me when we see all of these kids with all this personality. Okay, so this is the one we're going to do next. This one is using the Peaceful Pine, the Barely Blush. That's the ink here. It's the color of this paper, the base color of this paper. But you can see it's got some crisp cantaloupe and some Peaceful Pine in there. And this die cut is from the Nature's Symphony set. And the bundle, this is the stamps. The bundle has the stamps and the dies, and you can actually cut that stamp out, which is what I have done on this occasion. The card base here is not a pattern paper. I have taken this stamp and stamped it all over in order to give us that pattern and just a look of texture. Okay. All right, so this one is very similar as far as when we put it together. I should mention too that I have cut this circle out with the Spotlight on Nature dies, which I absolutely love them. I have circle dies, I've got like 6 different sets of circle dies. I reach for these time and time again because of the details on them here. Each of them has a different detail, so you get 2 of each side with 2 different types of details on it. So it's pretty awesome. I like it a lot. I used my other circle dies a lot too, because everybody should have a good set of circle dies if you're going to be die cutting. But since I got this set, I don't use them as much anymore. All right, so here we go. Let's work on this one. This is where our sentiment is going to go on this one. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adhere this onto this. Okay, and I'm going to leave it off the edge a little bit because I don't want it to be completely on the center. I want it to be off the edge, and then we're going to trim that off, okay? All right, and then on top of that, we're going to put this right here. And then we're going to put our sentiments, and the sentiment, again, will probably pop up off the page, okay? All right, so the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll put this on there. See, we used this one on the other one. The designer series paper generally comes with 12 sheets of designer series paper, 2 each of 6 designs. And you'll have each of the pages will have 1 on each side. So you'll get 6 different sheets, 12 designs, because there's 2 on each side. Okay, so we've just glued that down just like that. Okay. This one here is not a lot of detail. I mean, there's a lot of different things here, but it's not tiny. Like the one that I did earlier before this class, it had some really tiny pieces on it. A lot of times people, when they're doing things that are that tiny, they'll use an adhesive backing on it so that they can just peel the backing off and slide it onto so that they don't have to worry about putting glue on it. I'm going to just, because I'm going to snip this so that it doesn't bother anything else that we're doing. Okay, so there's that piece right there. Okay, now we'll just pull our sentiment. Before we adhere our sentiment to this, I want to go ahead and stamp it. And we were going to use, which one did I use on that? Okay, let's see. I'm going to use from the Cutest Crew stamp and die set. I'm going to use this stamp right here. I do a lot of birthday cards because the people who are interested in my cards need birthday cards. So that's why I do a lot of those. I do some anniversary cards sometimes because that's a lot of times that's what people need. I don't do as many just because or hello. I do some, but I don't do as many of those. For this one, I am going to, let me tell you about this. This is an embossed, and I've used the debossed side, and then I have inked it with the Peaceful Pine ink. I just came with a blending brush and inked this. Okay, so we're going to actually stamp this with the Peaceful Pine. I'm going to do this a little differently, though, because I don't want it to be the way this one is, where it's 2 lines. I want it to all be 1 line. So I'm going to very carefully, and you can actually use tape if you have some kind of tape that won't show up or won't damage your stuff. A lot of times washi tape is perfect for this. So if I just tear a piece of washi tape off, and then I'm going to tape my stamp so that the ink doesn't get on the happy. We'll start with the happy. Okay. And then I can ink the birthday, remove the tape, and place your stamp. No. I just happened to look, because you can see when you look through here, you can see. And when I had it up towards that white, you can see that the top there is missing. So I'm going to retape and re-ink because I didn't get it inked up properly. There we go. Much better. And now we'll stamp our birthday. Okay. I'm going to do it again because I tapped the mat or tapped the strip before I was ready to. I get ink on my fingers all the time. Yeah, she's pretty perfect. She's adorable. We already know how she's going to turn out, though. Okay, so just pressed, and that is a much better stamp there. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to tape over the birthday and grab the happy. There we go. Happy. Stamp off. And remember to take the tape off because the ink gets on the tape. So if you forget to take it off, it's going to mess up your stamp. Come in close. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to have to do this one over. I'm not happy with how this turned out either. My happy came, I didn't clean the stamp from when I did birthday. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one of my strips. I keep an envelope full of scraps, okay? And in this instance, I'm just going to grab one. And I'm going to trim it. I've got ink all over my fingers now too. I'm going to trim it down a little bit and hopefully be able to keep it straight. I'm just using a paper trimmer. It's off camera here at the side of my desk. Okay. I also have a spray bottle here on my desk, and because I have so much ink on my hands, I'm spraying the water on my hands and drying them off so that I don't get ink all over everything I'm trying to do. I don't know how I managed to get that much ink on my hands. Yeah, I do, taking that tape off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. So I've got my new strip here, and it is longer than I need it, so I'm going to trim that down too. Okay. And then you can just come in here and snip like this, and then like that. And that to get your little dovetails there. All right. So now we have it. Let's clean up our stamp so we don't have a mistake again. Okay. I grabbed a different piece of tape this time because it's not quite as sticky, and perhaps I won't get as much of it on my hands this time. Okay. We have ink. See how it's on both of them? That's why you need to take it off. Okay. And then we'll stamp birthday. Still don't like it. All right. We're going to wipe off our stamp this time so we don't do what we did last time. And then we're going to put that tape right back over it, and it's on my hand. Right back over the birthday so that all we catch is the happy. just like that. Take it off. And then we'll stamp the happy. Press and release. The happy is very bright. Okay. All right. So then it is going to be put right on this. Just like that. I hate that I had to recut it. It's not as clear as it was before. Not as pretty. Okay. We'll put this on with the glue. I'm going to slide it all the way up to the edge. Just like that. Straighten it out. Okay. This is a little more than I wanted over here, so I'm just going to trim it down. Now, I know I didn't talk a lot about measurements on this card, but it just depends on what you want to do. You can differentiate your measurements in a lot of different ways. This piece right here, I did cut it down, and it is just under 5, but not quite 4, more than 4 3/4. And then it is 1, 2, 3 3/4. Okay. When we place this, we're going to place it all the way to this side, and then we're going to trim this piece off. And then our happy birthday is going to go right across here. You can put ribbon on this, or you can put embellishments. I do have embellishments that I'm going to use for this. I opted out on the ribbon for this one too, because I thought that it was going to be just a little too much if I did that as well. So before I put that on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the glue on this and put it on the backing. Okay, so I'm just lining it up with the edge of the card, and then we'll press it down. Sometimes if you're waiting for your glue to dry and you're moving on to something else, you can just put a stamping block down on it, and that'll help make sure that it adheres. That's really important when you're using embossed papers. Just trying to make sure I don't get ink everywhere still. That's real important when you're using the embossed papers. Okay, so let me see. Did I change my mind on the ribbon? Let's see. We'll just cut some and test it out. Oh, I don't need that. Okay, I have a green one right here. So we could just slide this on here, and that would be pretty cute. So I already got it all tied and everything. Or we can make this bow with the pink. If you've made the bows before, the little bows, there is a little bit of a trick to it. You just tie it. And then once you have it tied, you're going to say, oh, that's not the right size. I wanted it a different size. But if you hold on to the center of it and adjust it, you can keep adjusting it until you got the size the way you want it and the bow is tight enough to stay. So we're almost there. If it's a more satiny ribbon, it does take a little longer because the ribbon is a little slippery. This one is not a satiny ribbon, so we're in good shape. Just one more pull here. It's good and tight. And then pull for the size. Okay. All right. Okay, do both of them. Okay, I'm not quite sure yet. All right. So when I cut these, you've got a couple options. You can see they're cut slanted. I prefer the dovetail cut. You can just fold it together. And then I cut from the outside towards the middle, just like that. And you get that nice little tail there. Now, if you don't do that, then I recommend that you do something to keep the ends from fraying, because they will fray. You see how that's starting to fray if I rub it. In order to do that, let me cut this one and then I'll show you on it how to do it. Sometimes the ribbons get too narrow to be able to do this. Card that I made last night had some, oh, well, I'm going to do that one more time because I didn't fold it good. Much better and much more even with the other side as well. Okay, but so if you take this right here, and I just put a little bit of glue in a line and just barely tap it in there. And that way that glue will give it an edging to where it's not going to be as likely to fray. Take some scraps out of our way there. All right. So we've got that attached. All of that is good. So I'm going to come over here. I find it easier to do this cutting from the back side. So I just flip it over and cut it as close to the edge as I can without cutting the edge. This is if you're doing strip cards to utilize scrap strips. It's a good way to cut those off too, is I always flip it to the back side to do it. Okay, so now we've got both of these. We can use both of them. We can use one of them. I think that I'm liking the pink one, the barely blush. Resize it one more time. And then puff our bows. Yeah, I think I'm liking that one, especially with this green that's right there. So what I'm going to do to adhere it is we use glue dots because they take and really adhere to it. So just decide which side is your front, which is this. This is the front for this one. You can tell which is your front and your back by, let's see, which way do I need to go here? And that's not going to focus. So you see it's got a little crinkle there, but if you come over here, the ribbon in the center is pretty straight. And that's how I decide what's the front and what's the back. Take and on the back of the bow, just stick that glue dot. You can use a little tool to do it if you want. I just usually take a snip of the glue and put it on there. And let's see, when we put this on here, it's going to line up right about here. So I'm going to slant this like this so that most of the bow stays on the card when it is on the, adhered on the card. Okay. All right. So the next thing is we're going to grab our dimensionals again. And I'm always backtracking, trying to figure out where did I lay my dimensionals down. Okay. There. I just try to put enough so that the center of it doesn't collapse. You want it to stay up and add the dimension to the card all the way across it. If there's anybody who has anything, oh, you have the same washi tape. Yes, you have that same washi tape. How'd you get that washi tape? Hit the ends with a lighter. Yeah. If you have a lighter laying around all the time, you could definitely do that. I like the glue because I don't usually have a lighter anywhere near me. Okay. But if you have something, a card technique or something that you're interested in seeing, let me know, because I'm certainly open to doing different styles of cards and different types. I usually try to keep our Fridays. What I like to do is to do a simple fun fold too. If I have the time to find one of those and prep that. But I didn't get to that this week. I still like both of these cards, but I like to do some fun folds too, because everybody loves doing fun folds. Okay, so now for the embellishment on this card, these are not this year's in color. However, when you look at that crisp cantaloupe, this here is going to kind of bring that color out. These are from last year, so I believe this one is called Peach Pie. So they were last year's in color. But it works on this one because of that, the cantaloupe and the golden glow that's in here. So that's for our second card. Okay. And here's our first card. So we did in the hydrangea hue using the Boutique Blossoms or Blossom Boutique paper, and we created this card, a happy birthday card. And then we used this one. We used a couple of different techniques on this one that we didn't use. This one, we also used the Blossom Boutique, but we brought in Nature's Symphony and use the stamp from it to stamp this, and we also use the stamp and the die on this. And then we embossed this. Unfortunately, I did not grab the name from this embossing folder, but it was one of Stampin' Up's embossing folders as well. All right, so the only thing that we have left is to put a little bit of something on the inside. All right, so if I go back to my Nature Symphony and the stamps, I'm going to grab my Peaceful Pine again, and we're going to stamp with this small foliage stamp here. There's my stamp itself. All right, so I'm not layering a bunch of stuff on this one. On the inside, I do have a couple of little strips that I'm going to put in there, but I'm just going to go ahead and just do one of these to bring the outside inside. This is a smaller image of that same stamp. I stamped it off on some texture in order to get this texture, because that was what I wanted to show up there, is that texture. So I stamped it off on a paper towel that had some texture to do that. All right, and then I've got these two little strips that I'm going to add as well. This is a smaller version of almost the identical paper that what we used on the front. So I'm just going to put one down here, and I'm going to put this other one up at the top in the opposite corner. And there we have it. That's all done. So we use several different techniques here. We've got some dimension on this card. We've got texture on this card. And then we've got the inside. Very nice there. And then finally, one last look at our hydrangea hue card. I do love these scalloped circle stamp here, or die here. You can use that over and over. That's an investment that keeps on giving, just like the Spotlight on Nature circle dies. Both of them are things that you'll be using for years to come. And that is it. Does anybody have any questions? What's a family secret, Kelly? Okay, she's not typing right now, so I won't hold you all up any longer. We'll just get these two cards on here. It's upside down. Have y'all been looking at this upside down the whole time? I imagine you were. Sorry about that. Anyway, there you go. Those are the two cards. Here's the other one that I showed you at the beginning that I still really, really like. Okay, and then before we hang up, before we disconnect, and all my mess here, I'm so sorry, I'm so messy. And we're going to have a card club in June. It'll ship at near the end of June, probably around the 25th of June. But we're going to be creating, in the card club, we'll be creating this card. And we'll be creating this little fun fold here. This is more narrow than a typical card. It'll actually fit in a letter envelope instead of a card envelope. It is using Sunset Coast, and then when you open it up, it's all very cute. We're going to do something just a little bit different so that when you do your card, your horizon lines up, whereas mine doesn't here. And then this one is Fern and Flora. It comes from that set. The way the card kits will work is it's a subscription, and I will send you all of the stuff. You'll have a link to a video, and you'll also have a printout of the directions. So I'm going to have all of that ready, and anybody who wants to subscribe, I'll have this information on how to subscribe. I'll have all that up before the first week of June is over, to give you plenty of time to subscribe so that I can get it to you in time at the end of the month. Okay. All righty. I hope that you all enjoyed the cards today. I do still want to apologize again for the technological issues that I am experiencing, and I promise I am working to get them cleared up so that this can go much more smoothly. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so very much, and enjoy your weekend.